Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Danger Zone podcast. This is episode 10. We did it. We made it to double digits. It's amazing. It's a feat that we never thought we would achieve. And yet we still have plenty more in the pipeline coming at you. And just get ready. We're excited. Today we talked about relationships. All kinds of relationships, relationships between friends, romantic relationships, kind of family. We were all over the place with that, but it was something that, we wanted to talk about because everybody goes through every kind of up and down of any kind of relationship. Everybody can relate to it, and we had a lot to say. We covered the full hour just, I think, on that, which I was kind of surprised about, but not really. And we didn't even get close to touching the subject. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it. That's what I was going to say. You're going to enjoy this one. So thanks for tuning in. If you're liking the episodes that we're putting out, go ahead and hit the like button. Maybe give a share on your page if you like it. Maybe one of your friends or family will like it. And yeah, head over to our YouTube channel if you listen to this on Facebook. And like I said, we have the website coming out soon, so that's going to be awesome. It's going to be your go-to source for everything Danger Zone related. All right, so that's it. The Danger Zone podcast, episode 10. Let's get started. To the Danger Zone. I'm gonna take it right into the Danger Zone. Highway to the Danger Zone. The way that I look at it is like you and I would have these conversations whether or not they were recorded.
Oh, yeah. No, totally.
I'm like, you and I just have decided to record our little somewhat enlightening, nonsensical conversations and broadcast them to the fucking public.
No, we were having these conversations, for an hour
years.
Or two,
yeah.
A couple times a week sometimes, and so
exactly.
It's not that much different.
No, so now it's just in recorded format, and other people can participate if they want, and all three of them do, and that's it.
And it's sponsored by Satan on the Shelf and
Satan on the Shelf and
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. And Go Prep Yourself.
And Go Prep
Brought
Yourself.
to you by Go Prep Yourself.
Yep.
100%. So, what are we going to talk about today? You want to talk about relationships?
Yeah, I figure, we both have had a couple.
I've had a relationship before.
Yeah.
It was super fun for a time in space.
For like the first 15% of the relationship, maybe.
That's an exaggerated number, but yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Roughly.
There were happy times.
Yeah, it's not all bad.
You know what? And you know what? You can even expand that upon like not personal, like romantic relationships. Just relationships in general are so. Oh my God, I don't even know. They're just
work. It's just too much work.
There's so much work. Yeah, that's a good way to say it, and not work necessarily in a bad way, because not all work is bad, but it still is. Yeah, effort.
It takes effort.
You have to put some out.
Yep.
You have to put a lot out.
Yeah. Even with like just friends, guy friends, girlfriends, like whatever, just maintaining a relationship. When you've got kids, when you've got family and your work and everything you're trying to do, go to school, like whatever your interests are, doing everything and maintaining close personal friendships is sometimes challenging, let alone like meeting the right person, and all the factors.
Which is a crazy endeavor. But yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
There's so much give and take to everything and compromise, and it just entails so much of who you are as a person that it's so difficult. And then, like you said, when you throw extraneous factors in, like the fact that you and I have kids, we have our own friendships that we have to maintain, we have work, school, us trying to maintain hobbies so we keep our sanity, going to the gym, like all of those things just, as much as you don't want to say it, they kind of take a toll on you, and you get to the point where you're like, okay, I have to manifest more energy to be able to maintain these relationships sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No, it's not. It takes an investment of your time, and that's how you find out who's your real friend and who you value, I think, is the people that you're willing to, especially, like, I'm introverted. I don't like to go out and mix with people I don't know.
Wait, you are?
Great.
You're introverted?
Yeah, I know, right?
Wait, the cave of solitude?
So, like, I have to force myself sometimes, like, even people that I love to be around,
Yes.
to get out and be like, you know what, you need to go see them. You need to hang out with them tonight,
100%. I mean, I have those things too where I'm like, oh God, just like the dread of having to have social interactions when you just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
But you're like, all right, I'm going to get there and it'll be good. I'm going to see the people I love. They'll contribute positively to my energy in my life. So just it's getting your fucking foot out the door sometimes. You're like, oh God, that first step is so hard.
Oh man, the sunlight hits your face and you haven't seen it for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. You
you're
withdraw slightly. You take you take a step back inside and you're like, no, I've committed.
You see like other humans on the street and you're like, too soon.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was Sunday. I was laying in bed and it was like 11 o'clock and I was trying to plan out my day, like, am I going to get out of bed in the next couple hours am I just going to watch TV and lay here or whatever? And it dawned on me like a clear fucking sobering realization that, like, so I sleep naked, so I'm laying there naked in my bed.
Damn
and
right.
I'm like, dude,
everyone should.
I have to get groceries today. That means I have to put pants on and leave my house. And it was like I was accepting a terrible fate.
Dude, I understand that too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, oh, the world I do not need the interaction of the world.
Yeah.
But those are the prices that you pay to have those social interactions and maintain friendships and shit.
Yep.
And it's tough, dude. It's tough. Like, and then, I think it kind of expands on things that we've talked about previously and then you have those friends that you can keep things light and social, and that's great. Or you have mutual things that you're interested in, like I can go or you can go and watch the fights with somebody, and you're like, hell yeah, we can all bond over these things. But still, those people have differing worldviews than you, possibly, and that can cause conflict. And yet you still love these people for who they are, and you put all of that shit aside because it's extraneous shit. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to focus on those things. Yeah. And that's what a lot, I think, of what our world is now, like having social media and interacting with people, or people trying to interact with you that you don't see, that aren't in your community. And you're like, they don't have a face or a feel to them anymore. And so people can be less than pleasant to each other, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day, like, I don't know what's really a bigger problem in society. If there are too many people that are fake nice to your face and talk shit about you behind your back, or are outwardly rude to the world but are secretly, like, super kind on the inside, Like, because some people wear different masks to the public, like they'll present themselves as your friend and stab you in the back the first time they get a chance. And some people go around with their head down and keep it to themselves, but once you get to know them, they would do anything for you. And people are just complex, man. Like,
that's the big thing. There's no ones and zeros to things like that.
Yeah, everybody's a shade of gray. Yeah,
and people love, just in general, to boil down things to this is good or this is bad, or this person's good or this person's bad. And it's so much more complex than that.
Yeah.
And like, your beliefs or what you've done in your life doesn't necessarily boil down to a 1 or a 0. No. 0 of you're good or bad. Like, you can do, like, nobody's perfect. Let's not pretend like there's somebody out there who is just the ideal human that is always just pure love and just the most friendly person. And while they do exist, maybe some, I don't know, but
I am. I am like that.
You're right. I'm saying this to the wrong person.
I'm coded in, like, a bunch of, like, cynicism.
You are. Yeah, you are. No, I mean, like, no, it's true. It's true. Like, that's the thing. Is like, you and I can disagree on things, maintain a very healthy friendly relationship, and it's
almost
all
too
good.
healthy.
It's way too healthy.
Way too healthy.
Yeah.
You know,
Sorry,
another
everybody.
thing that's super weird is mixing groups of friends that have never met each other before. And
Oh, God.
I hate it. Like I will have different identities among my different friends, and like, you know, this is the group I do this with, this is the group I do this with. And like when
Dude,
you met
that's so true.
me, you and Josh, you know, went out to the Rock on the Range a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's a very special circumstance that we were in,
yeah,
too.
for sure.
That's not normal life.
Yeah, and I had little doubt that you guys wouldn't get along, but, you know, I was still kind of stressed about it, and I'm not the best at, you know,
Love you, Josh.
that type of stuff. But,
Yeah.
yeah, you guys got along better than I got along with either of you. Like, you guys were inseparable.
No, that's knowing your friend, though. That's
yeah.
I was telling somebody recently, I was like, yeah, no, my buddy Chris, we're all hanging out, and I haven't seen him in forever, and he's just like, I'm just gonna go. I'm like, what? Like, I just gotta walk around. And like, me knowing you as well as I do, I'm like, yeah, man, go do that shit.
Yeah.
We'll see you when you get done with your walkabout. It's cool.
Yeah.
Go live your existence, find your little happy place, like detach from the world a little bit, and we'll see you when you get back.
Yeah.
But that can be a stressful thing for people of being like, dude, are you okay? No, tell me what's going on. Are you okay? Oh, shit, Chris left. It's like, no, man.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. He's got to just wander around his own reality.
No,
and
it was
everything's
perfect.
Cool.
Like, you guys just let me go until I, you know, wandered back upon your path. And
the crazy thing about
great.
that is you wouldn't even call us. All of a sudden, you just fucking appear like a, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a ghost.
You got to remember, like, I've been doing all of these habits my entire life. So
Yeah.
I've kind of gotten good at, like, you know, just disappearing for however long and just showing back up when I'm ready. And it just
I love it.
comes
I love
together.
it. I love it. It's good. But it's like, it's a good thing. But that's the thing, like with your friends or any relationship that you have, you accept these things about whoever it is in whatever way that it is. And it's fine. It's fine. But that gets lost when we interact socially across some social media spectrum where you're like, you're detached from all of that and you don't know somebody personally. You don't know where they're coming from. And then they say whatever. And you're like, it just creates conflict because you don't have that social interaction. They're not in your village, in your little tribe.
We've talked about this before, like the number of people that you can have true, you know, some kind of social circle with is around 150 or whatever that research, you know, points to, something like that.
Sounds
and
like a
I
good
think
number.
there's a
Somewhere
lot of people that try and, you know, have like maximum possible social reach, and it gets watered down, you know, like it's not genuine. And I would much rather have 15 people that I'm like genuinely close to than 150 that I'm kind of close to.
That's like a huge thing for me too. I totally agree, and I kind of want to echo that like for me personally, I would rather have a handful or a few handfuls of close friends as opposed to how many dozens and dozens of superficial relationships that I have with people that aren't that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
I know exactly what I mean. Like,
you know what
that's
I mean.
how I feel almost with like just relationships, you know, like in dating and stuff. I'm content like where I'm at, you know. I'm single. I'm not looking to like go out, and I'm completely like honestly over the whole hooking up thing. Like I'd rather be alone than date the wrong person. And no, it's a good place to be, and it's a good place to like, you know, find myself. Finally, after years of being a hopeless romantic and being really pathetic and
please, you still are.
Don't
lie. Don't lie to the public.
But
lies.
It's a controlled hopeless romantic.
No, but it's good. Like I think like it's taken me a long time, and I'm still working on this of being comfortable with myself. And some people are more comfortable with themselves and being open to just being alone and doing whatever they do. But like for me, it's been a learned experience of having my solo hobbies and doing this and not relying on having whatever relationships or something like that, or relying on a person.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily an easy thing depending on who you are, how you're wired. You know?
Yeah. No, that's true. Like, you know, it could be difficult for other people. Like for me, I guess my my isolationism. I don't know. Anyways,
isolational zombieism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of helps me like with that, you know, like I don't feel the need as strongly to just go out and interact with people for the sake of interacting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel that pull, and even like today, I have that tendency to where I like crave that social interaction, even though sometimes it's difficult for me.
Yeah.
Like I re-energizes me to be around people, to talk to people. And that's part of the reason why we do stuff like this. Like me and you sit down, and if we weren't in front of a mic and we weren't recording, we'd be sitting down and having these similar conversations either way.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And it's something that like I somewhat thrive upon and yet dread in certain circumstances. And that's the thing is like, again, it comes back to there's no 1 and 0. People are malleable, and there's no necessarily defined.
It's a spectrum, is what you're saying. Like, you know, nobody's all one thing or all another thing. Everybody's on the spectrum somewhere, and just like, you know, almost nobody is a complete extrovert or introvert, right? But most people fall probably somewhere in the middle, give or take. And then there's some people on the extremes, but nobody is all one thing. Unless
exactly.
You know, maybe, you know, if you have like severe autism or something like that. Those are you know, separate things. Even though people thought I had autism for a while. Yeah. Oh, really?
Almost. Probably. Anybody that's listened to us is like, I don't know, Vince.
Yeah.
He's on there. It's not great.
Yeah. I actually took a test, and it said like I was at the lowest level to be considered on any spectrum. It was an online test, so whatever. It also says I'm like borderline genius, so
yeah, your IQ is 197 if that's
no, it was like 141 or something like that.
I don't know. That
online.
Sounds good.
It
sounds good. I don't know.
I took a real one, and it wasn't that high. So, but anyway,
something tried to pull me today. It was like, who is the president of the United States? Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and then 2 others. I was like, what in the fuck is happening right now? I was like, all right. So I just kept clicking Putin until it told me they were like, all right, we give up on you, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, depends how far down. You know, we're just.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was like, I don't know that I'm necessarily wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I don't know that you are either.
I'm not sure. Like, wait, who's pulling the strings though?
We'll talk about that another time. I don't have the energy to go into that.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'll be yelling at the mic in a second.
Our dear leader.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know, man. Relationships are they're so difficult sometimes. But that's the thing is like, are they supposed to be difficult?
Well, yeah. They're going to be work. You know, all relationships are work at some point. Some of them are more work than they're worth. Some of them. You know, you fight through the difficult times and you get to a good place, and it just depends on the person and the dynamic between the two people and you know, the history and damage and baggage and all that.
So this isn't like there's no necessarily correct or good answer to this, but where do you think, from your perspective, the balance of work is? Because I know, like, in thinking about it, I had a hard time grappling with the fact that, like, okay, I care about this person. It's someone that's important to me in my life, but it's a lot of work. Like, where do you find the balance of the work being put in being equal to what the relationship puts out? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. You know, I've never thought about it, but just my initial response would be,
give me
when you find yourself unhappy, like truly unhappy, and you know it, and you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I don't know how long I can be this unhappy for. When it's beyond exhaustion. You know, you can be emotionally exhausted, you can be, you know, physically, just life can wear you out. And that's one thing, you know, and that'll happen in relationships too. You'll just be exhausted and need a break. But when you unhappy, and there's that resentment. I think resentment, I heard that a while ago, and it always stayed with me years and years ago. That resentment was the hardest sort of emotion to come back from when you start resenting your partner.
That's a good distinction to make too.
Yeah.
Because you could be working at something and have a disagreement, or have something that's sort of a trying period. But yeah, once it has just embedded itself deep inside of you and it becomes a level of resentment, that's such a hard thing to come back from.
It is.
You know?
It is. And
like, how
it's
do you
something I watch out for
things?
since then. Like, you know, if I've ever had those feelings, like, you know, my kids are a good barometer for me. Like, if, you know, I've dated a few people, and if they've ever complained about how much I have my kids or anything, like,
oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
That's like instant.
Red flag.
That resentment seed is bam. Like,
yeah,
you want me to have my kids less? No.
That's it. Yeah, that's at least a more easy one, at least for people like you and I.
Yeah. That's why I use it, just as a clear example. Like, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's not even true for everybody though. Some people will be like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Or people could take that information differently in their head and process it or whatever. But I mean, for you and I and other parents out there that are like-minded, and I don't want to say one's better than the other, even though I tend to think one's better than the other. But, you know, putting your kids first and knowing that as a priority, which they should be. Yeah. And then when you have some outside influence that's trying to take that away from who you are and the time that you spend, you're like, whoa, that's easy to put you on your heels and be like, what is going on right now? Hold on. Let's reevaluate.
You know, it's like you said, it's different for different people. Some people prioritize those things higher than others. And I don't know, like when I grew up in a pretty unique, I'll say, like situation, and it was a different time too. And the needs or opinions or even like the the chatter from a child was there was a very low tolerance for the amount. So I think, you know, in our current generation, like, you know, me and you as parents,
we're way different, man.
It's way different.
We're a way new breed of dad. And not to separate us from like moms, women, or anything like that, but there is a clear distinction from fatherly roles and motherly roles of our last generation or era, as opposed to what we're doing now, and kind of the way that we look at things. I think on a greater spectrum of that, it's a different dynamic and a hugely different way of looking at things.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, maybe a lot of it, you know, I don't have a sociology degree or, you know, whatever, but I think the generational change is because of sort of the acceptance of in our society of men to be more vulnerable and more, you know, openly loving with their children, and they don't have to push their children, you know, their sons to be, you know, toughen up. Like we've kind of moved past some of that machismo that fathers used to just push onto their young sons, you know, and I've seen it done in the past, and and I think that opens our eyes. You know, I had my daughter first. I wanted a son first, then a daughter. That's what I wanted, 2 kids. I had my daughter first, and I'm so glad I did.
Not everybody can just have. Everybody can just have 2 sons back to back, bro.
Yeah, I know, but you know, not everybody can just get 1 and 1 and be. I'm 1,000. What are you talking about? No,
you're right. Damn, you got both. I know. I'm like, well, that daughter.
Having Zoe first softened me up enough to where I don't feel that way anymore about, you know, as soon as Archer was born, like I didn't have that feeling. Like I knew that I wasn't going to be too hard on him. I wasn't going to be, you know, that I didn't have a problem being loving and just, you know, I still give him kisses. You know, he's looking at me 6 years old.
Hell yeah.
And yeah. So I think the attitude, like just in society, has changed a lot for the better.
It has. No, I think so too. I think the dynamic of the family, and just especially for, well, men and women. I think women are more able to. Oh God, I hope this doesn't sound bad. I don't mean it bad in any way whatsoever.
No, just say,
you know what? Fuck that. It shouldn't sound bad.
Yeah.
No, but women's ability to be out in the workforce and stuff like that is much more accepted, and it should be, and they should be pursuing whatever career path or whatever it is that they want to do. But I think that transition to that type of thinking, which is such a fucking positive, has allowed men to take a step back too and be like, I don't have to be this person that works necessarily 16 hours a day. That's the sole provider that is just there to make sure the bills are paid, and mom is there to make sure that they're facilitating the growth of the kids and all of that stuff. Like we also get to take that role as a parent that we need to be, especially like, you know, and kids need their mom just as much as they need dad, and we each fill different roles of nurturing that each kid needs, you know.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that depends on, like we kind of said earlier, like the dynamic of the relationship. Some people are okay with being a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, or
and there's nothing wrong with that.
And you know, and it works for them. Some people prefer to, you know, get a break and go out and both work and be a little bit more financially stable or whatever. And you know, there's a lot of socioeconomical factors that go into, if you look at wages and wage growth over the last 30 years and stuff, there's when accounted for inflation and stuff, it's significantly lower than the past generation and all that. But having said that, you know, there are certain things that work for certain people and certain things that don't. And if you're on the same wavelength, then, you know, then it's all good.
I mean, so me having said all of that, again, you're right. I don't think there's anything wrong with mom staying at home with the kids and dad providing, or dad staying at home with the kids and mom providing, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And however that works within your family dynamic is a beautiful thing. But I think it's important, and it's been more of a focus that each parent needs to take a more vital role in the development of their children. I think that's been a huge thing that we've done and grown from, and something that is just going to continue to evolve in a really beneficial way for our kids to be more well-roundedly, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, you know, I think there's been a ton of progress, and I think the generations today, at least in the family environment, are probably a little bit more emotionally supported than previous generations, at least in America. Like for the rest of the world, you know, in the, you know, first world European countries and developed countries, I think it probably holds true. But speaking just in my, you know, I'm an American, so
damn right you are.
America. No,
red-blooded fucking American.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like, I think,
yeah.
Yeah,
no, seriously. And you know what I mean? And so that, I mean, oh, dude, we just, as a society and Western culture, like you said, speaking specifically because it's our reality right now, we have evolved to, are evolving to a point where we're more open to change. We're more open to, like, even things like therapy or help with psychological issues or something like that.
Mental health issues don't have such a stigma anymore. Like, you know, there's a lot of things that are contributing to positive change.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for the parents to be seeking help, for them to be seeking help for their children in any way, being more involved in schooling. I mean, I know, like, I go to the boys' like field trips or whatever social events that they have at school, and I remember thinking like, oh man, I'm gonna be the only dad here, because that was the weird stigma that I even had in my own mind, like, oh, it's gonna be moms and then me. But no, I show up and there's a bunch of dads, and I'm like, hell yeah, man, good on us. And it almost kind of makes me sad to say good on us, because as men, dads, whatever, moms, you know, I hate to come from the perspective of just dads. And
well, you're a dad. I mean,
yeah. Or even just the fact that historically, maybe dads have been less involved in child's lives as opposed in reference to like attending like PTA or whatever kind of schooling social event. But man, I show up now and it's like, oh man, we're here, dude. That's fucking awesome. Hell yeah, dads.
Yeah.
You know, like I take nothing away from moms being involved, but I have some sort of a thing like, hell yeah, dads, like, let's do this. Let's step the fuck up and fill those roles that we should be filling.
Yeah. I don't even think it's like, the roles, I think we're still looking at it almost from an archaic point of view. Like there's
I
the
think I do
masculine
come from
role.
that. Yeah.
No, everybody does. There's the masculine role and a feminine role. The dad feels, all the masculine tough stuff. The mom feels all the loving, supportive stuff. And
Yep.
and somehow this happy medium is supposed to develop a well-adjusted person. And I don't see the need for that. I think that's an outdated way of looking at it. And
No, yeah.
and with everything we know now, like why can't both parents be both roles?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a new world, And when I have my kids, and I'm a single dad, and I have them 50% of the time, and I feel like I am both roles when I have them, and I have pretty much since the beginning, been conscious of making sure that they get the right amount of kind of that strict disciplinarianism, and like just the comforting and letting things slide sometimes, and I want them to have a very well balanced time while they're with me, and I'm constantly focused on it and kind of measuring where I'm at, where we're at together.
Yeah, I
If
agree.
that makes sense. I don't know.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think that's huge. And that's something that going way back to what you were just talking about, like evolutionarily speaking, for the most part, men played a dominant role in being a hunter type of part of the tribal dynamic. Women stayed home and were gatherers and took care of the children. And again, I'm talking like way back and just evolutionarily speaking. And we've continued those roles for so long because it was ingrained in us and it's part of our DNA, whether or not you kind of want to accept it, at least to some extent. I mean, there's variance, and I'm not saying that these things are hard and fast. Again, it's not a 1 and a 0. Yeah. But those are the roles that we've typically been bred into, and with all of the just modern, the evolution of modern day and all of that, we don't have to have those old roles that we used to fill, and you're more able to just, I don't know. Yeah. You know what?
No, I agree. And I think that, it's fine. Even if you want to be a traditionalist, or you feel like that, that traditional role fits you and your family and your relationship, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to switch it up, like whatever works for you should be completely acceptable. And as long as everybody's happy and everybody's getting what they need out of a relationship, then who cares about what society thinks? If you, your children, your spouse, you're all happy, that's the only thing that matters, in the end. And
I think that's huge. Like what you just said is that it doesn't matter what society thinks or whatever societal pressures are placed on us arbitrarily. Like if you are doing the right thing by yourself, your family, and everybody's happy, then that's the right thing for you. Yeah. Like you shouldn't let anybody tell you what should be done, or anybody being judgmental, or anything that you and I might say. What works for you that creates a happy, dynamic relationship in your family is exactly the right thing to be doing, and that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And you got to be, self-critical to make sure that you're not, you don't have your blinders on when it comes to certain things. You've got to be willing to have those like harsh looks at yourself and your relationships, and be able to take like an accurate stock of where you're succeeding and where you're not succeeding. And with all things, I think that's important, but also with being a parent or being married or dating somebody, you have to be able to take those rose-colored glasses off and look at things.
Are we going married and dating right now?
Yeah, why not?
We're gonna talk about the dating pool.
Oh God,
we did. Dude, I'm the last person that
should talk about it, just because where I'm at, I think it's honestly like per capita the worst dating pool in the world.
It's not fun,
or at least
man.
In the U.S.
For all of you out there that are single or married, whatever it is.
Single or married, okay.
Man, it's not easy out there.
Oh man, you don't even know. I'm
in
Nebraska.
Midwestern.
I'm an introvert in Nebraska.
You have the best dating pool.
Oh, God.
Dude, why does everybody on Tinder in your region have a MAGA hat on? What is that about?
Oh man, tell me about it. Somebody hit me up a few weeks ago with like, they saw that I was in the military and they hit me up about the QAnon or whatever the fuck that shit is.
I don't know what that means.
It's the conspiracy like subgenre within the Trump supporters that
dude,
like, embrace
I'm
all
so
the
glad I have no
conspiracies.
idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't either. And she like, was like, so since you voted for Trump, do you know anything about Q? And I was waiting
like,
for a follow up. And the funny thing is, so this chick like on another dating site like a year and a half ago, like we had matched or whatever, and she hit me up and she said something, and her grammar was like incorrect.
Oh,
and
dude,
I corrected
you're
it.
in there.
No,
God
it was
damn
something
it.
else, but I corrected it
flag.
because I couldn't help myself. And she got so offended, and like, then she just tried to like outwit me, like, and I was like, I was just joking, like it's cool, and like she wouldn't relent, and she kind of revealed herself to be an idiot who was trying to be like intellectual or whatever,
right?
Which is fine, I guess, but and I was trying to move past it and let it go, but no, then she got all pissed off, and like that was it. So then I matched with her again after like a year and a half, and she probably didn't recognize
for those
me.
who don't know, matching is a thing that single people do.
Everybody knows. So and I was kind of curious. Then she hit me up, like, "Hey, how's it going?" And
you're like, "I remember you."
Yeah,
I remember
grammatically
from the
incorrect
bullshit.
Yeah. And so I was just kind of like, I was curious, man, like to see how maybe that was just a bad day or something, and like
could have been.
No, it wasn't. She was the same way, and and then she brought up the fucking Trump supporter conspiracy theory group. And then I was like, I hate Trump. She like deleted me
immediately.
Oh yeah.
Trump voters swipe right. Like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Oh, you'd be amazed how much you see that stuff. Like,
oh yeah, I'm sure that's a real thing. It's a real thing here in the opposite way. Trump voters swipe left, and I'm like, all right, I can get down on that, but still, that's like such a thing where that's a good view into how polarized we are as people.
Yeah.
Whereas you can't even interact with someone who has different political views as you.
Well, that's. Everything's changed when it comes to that. Like, it's not just political views. It's like battle lines that have been drawn socially, and it's such a big divide that it is a really good indicator of a person at this point, whether a person is compatible with somebody else, because it's the Trump supporters and
it's the new
Trump
religion,
haters.
Bro. Wait,
there's a big difference in a lot of their outlooks on life.
Yeah. Are you Christian? Be like, nope. Swipe left. And it's the new the Trump era of that.
Yeah. Also, I'm an atheist in Nebraska, so like,
that's super gonna help you.
Everybody
out.
Starts off with, "I love Jesus, guns, and MAGA." Like, I'm like,
God damn it! Like, can I get a win over here? Like someone. That's good though. When you find someone that fits, you're like, oh man, diamond in the rough. We have to find each other. And then you put that pressure, and you're like, wait, all right. So that's a big thing, actually. This is something that we could talk about. That kind of has been swirling around my head. Is I think since having been in a relationship that was maybe more felt than understood, like, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Okay, sure, yeah.
But like, where is the balance of rationalizing the fruitfulness of, is that the right word to use? Probably not. Of a possible relationship, as opposed to like feeling it. Like, you can sit there all day and be like, this thing makes sense. This person's a nice person. They do this and they do this. And then, so these things sort of line up. And then if you were to meet them, you're like, I don't feel that though. And then like, how do you kind of rationalize that to be be like, well, what weighs more importance, or where do I put that?
Are you
How do
talking
I
about
make
like mind versus heart type thing?
kind of, yeah, like if you were to sit down and make a list of a person, you'd be like positives, couple negatives, obviously, because it's just life.
Yeah.
But you say all of these positives line up with what I'm looking for, I think. But then you don't feel whatever those things are for whatever reason. It's like, how do you take stock of that?
You're talking about like an instant connection feeling, or
right? Like, what is that? What is that when you find an instant connection feeling with someone that you might not have this list of positives with, but then you have this other person that you have a list of positives with, and you don't feel that connection? Like, how do you balance that? How do you weigh those things against each other to what
that's
makes
a great question.
sense and what's more important? It's like a difficult thing that I know I've been grappling with, of like, fuck, man.
I was while I was driving today, I was actually thinking about that exact same thing. This is what I do. My mind doesn't shut off unless I have like something obnoxious blaring.
Yeah, you got we got problems, me and you.
Yeah.
Me and you, we
Like,
got
this morning
problems.
in the shower, I was trying to solve, like in my brain, going over like tax codes and like how to eliminate tax loopholes. And anyway,
I was learning about string theory today, and I had no idea what they were talking about.
But no, I was driving and I was trying to think, like, how do I base my decisions? Is it more off my like feeling and heart, or is it my head?
Yeah, some intuition or some shit.
Is it my like rationalizing things and overthinking them until like I've come to like a indisputable conclusion? And I really think that anything that's not a tie, I will err on the side of like thinking, like my thought and rational side. Like, all things considered, if it's a tie though, like it tie goes to the heart. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'll take that leap and that chance to make that,
So
But
is that something that you think you've found with age? Like, having had certain amount of life experience and relationships and all of that you have been able to maybe come to a more maybe not objective, but a rational point of view of evaluating a relationship? Because I know, like, when I was younger, I didn't think about any of that shit. I was like, oh man, I like this because I like it and it's fine and that's where I'm at. And I didn't even really put too much thought into it. And now that I put more thought into it, it almost feels counterproductive, but maybe not. And it makes it so much more difficult to try to relinquish that hold over what I decide to kind of commit myself to, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, I think it has, you do mature and you get life experience, and all of that adds to your sort of ammunition to make appropriate decisions, and yourself better, and you can make better decisions for yourself because of that. But not just maturity, also Zoloft has helped. And,
yeah, buddy.
And I think that I've been thinking like that way, like you were just talking about, since I was probably 10, 11 years old. I think I had a midlife crisis when I was 18, and like I remember.
Oh well, first of all, you had a midlife crisis way before then, so let's not kid each other right now.
I've had like 4, so
yeah.
And by so I've like doubled my lifespan expectancy.
For sure, you're doing good, man. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I know. This is all like borrowed time. That's why I'm so relaxed.
Exactly. You're like, fuck it.
I never thought I would live this long, so I'm playing on house money. But yeah, I think a lot of it is just experience, and for me personally, I feel like I know myself better and more thoroughly than I ever have before, and that helps a lot. And the antidepressants, I'm not gonna downplay that.
Oh yeah, if you get the right ones.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I think you're right. I think it helps a lot, and in some way, it's almost a hindrance. Like, I know that's counterintuitive to say it helps a lot, but it's a hindrance. But it helps a lot in maybe making more rational decisions and possibly better long-term decisions for you. Mm-hmm. But in the short run, it also kind of sucks a little, because you might not allow yourself to just be vulnerable and experience things that in your head you're like, I don't know about this. Yeah. And Where like younger me would be like, fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
no, I like this person. It's whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it also depends on the strength of the intuition, whether it's your logic that's winning out and has a really strong argument, or your emotions that has, the stronger pull. Like, you got to weigh that too. Like, so if your feelings are saying one thing and your mind's kind of being like, well, and your heart is pulling you towards somebody this way, like, man, that's hard to ignore. And
yeah, man,
I think once you give that up, are you living, or are you just thinking through life? You know what I mean? Like,
oh, man.
Seriously, like there's a big difference between just getting through life as smart and rational as you can, and living life and pursuing happiness. And
yeah,
I mean, I guess it depends on what your view is on the point of life, but
yeah,
that gets a little semantic. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's not. I mean, I think it comes back to so many things where it's just things aren't as simple. And I remember hearing about a social psychologist who was talking about God, what's it called? Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Where it's so much easier
that you don't agree with, you block out just because.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where it's so much easier for people to just say, no, that person's being irrational. They haven't thought this through. I have thought this through all of the way, and I'm the one that's making the most sense. Yeah. And you just kind of squash that and put it aside because it helps your own reality. And like it does have an evolutionary trait to where if you just were questioning yourself constantly all the time, like there wouldn't be the progress that we've had. And you need to sort of put some of those things to the side and continue on with your life and have a positive momentum and outlook on things to continue evolving. But we can reevaluate those things now. You know, we have more time.
Balance, man. Like you just got to find that balance, and
balance is tough.
It is, but with
balance
every issue, it's because,
I'm impulsive,
like you said, man. Yeah, but impulsiveness is good in certain cases, in certain at certain times. If you had no impulsions to do things, what would you do all day? You would just kind of. I don't even know, man. I don't know how you can even like envision a person with zero impulsiveness that just kind of does the logical thing. You would have like an android type, person just.
Oh man, that's the dream.
Oh,
that's the dream. That's what I'm looking for.
No, I need emotion. All of this. I need a certain amount of like emotional.
Get all of this out of my head. Stop the spinning wheels and the carousel of life in my brain, and just let me just live like the android I'm supposed to be. Fuck it.
No, there's moments you need that android peace of mind where you just can shut your brain off. But overall, like if I don't have some kind of like honest emotion, honest experiences in my life, like I don't really feel like I'm living or thriving.
And that's a huge thing that comes back around to like relationships, where you will so quickly, given the right circumstances, forego the rational perspective or evaluation of a circumstance or relationship, and you'll just fucking dive into it because it feels right, because whatever intuition tells you that it's right. And you'll pursue that. Like that's a weird thing to just like, where the fuck does that feeling come from that allows you to, in which other circumstances you wouldn't, just forego all of your rational thinking and just jump in? It's weird.
Well, I mean, it depends. If the answer is different for everybody. Like I've been on both sides I've been on all sides of that question, and it really is an individual answer. If you're miserable, if you're in an abusive relationship, or a loveless relationship, like then clearly like you've got to kind of tear the Band-Aid off and get on with some kind of change. Yeah. And usually that happens with like an impulsive, like nobody. Like I've broken up with girls because I just knew it wasn't right? Like there was nobody else. Like
and
I wasn't cheating, and I missed you, and they wouldn't let me talk to you because you're, a big
We have to
perv and
record
all
this
that.
podcast.
But
Chris, no more podcasts.
yeah, exactly.
All right,
But
that's the end of this.
so I broke up with them, and they refused to believe there wasn't somebody else. Like, there has to be. That was the only thing that made sense.
Oh God, yeah.
And because I think it happens so often too. Like, that's most people are so scared of being alone that they don't leave the person they're with until they've got another option, or they're dating somebody and already cheating.
Yep.
And
That's a huge thing too.
yeah,
So yeah,
if
that
you
blurs.
are in a relationship that you're not happy in, just get out, whether you found somebody else or not. Like,
Yeah.
make yourself happy, and shit will fall in line.
Yeah. It's hard to know when that exit strategy is supposed to be put in place, though. I mean, that kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, damn, how do you know when you're done fighting for what you're maybe feel obligated to be fighting for? And you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, being miserable in something and kind of dreading the day-to-day is a huge indicator. Obviously, that's something terrible. But that could also come down to, are you communicating? Are you talking? Are you vocalizing these feelings to whoever your spouse or significant other is? Is it something that is repairable, or something that you've just, like over time just created these shelves of?
Yeah. Well, I think me and you have both been there, and you know, when you're with somebody for years, you don't have to say exactly everything. You can feel the tension, the unhappiness, like, you can feel it. Like, I knew for a long time, like, the way I felt.
I missed you too, man.
Yeah, like, and
I know.
It just, one day it just fell apart. Like, it drug on long enough to where it just deteriorated, because you both know it, you both feel it, and it weighs on everybody. It weighs on the kids, it weighs on, like, you can't force things to stay together. Yeah. Either it's right or it's not. It's not always easy. It does take work, no matter what, but you can't force it.
I think that's kind of like an important thing too. Like, I realize that nowadays, and I don't know the statistics, but I know divorce rates have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Prior to, like, historical averages. I don't know if we're up to like 50 or 60%, whatever these.
I think we just went over 50 within the last couple of years. Yeah. Yeah,
that makes sense. But so people will say, like,
that's first divorces too only. Like, if you factor in second, third, and fourth, like, it's exponential as far as, like, the failure rates.
Okay, see, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, so people say, oh God, it's like a deterioration of the family, or societal issues that are forced on people, or these other extraneous factors that lead to divorce.
To stay in them, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was getting to, is that instead, people back in the day, not everybody, but people would be forced or feel the societal pressure to stay in an unhappy marriage, or whatever, an abusive relationship, whether it's physically or mentally or whatever it is, because that was, quote unquote, the right thing to do. But God, women
didn't have the options either. I think that's huge. Like, women couldn't take out a line of credit until the 1970s in the U.S.
What?
Yeah. Isn't that insane? And before that, they had to have their husband's signature to give them permission. Yeah. So what was, somebody crazy in the 1960s, a single mother, getting paid a fraction of what, a man would, with a fraction of the opportunities, not being able to take out lines of credit? Like, God damn, what were your options,
Exactly. That's a huge thing. I was thinking about that earlier, is that women put in that position where they are a stay-at-home mom. They're relying on the financial support of a man, historically speaking.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have the option to leave. Like, how can you support your children?
It is.
Yeah.
And
so looking at divorce rates, I don't think that it's a breakdown of society or the family or anything like that. I think it's an evolution to people being more open to what they actually need in their lives, the relationships that they need to have, and being more kind of cognizant of what maybe the best situation for their family is.
Yeah.
Like, I would way rather grow up in a separated family with two households, having two people that aren't fighting, that love each other,
Yeah.
that have, maybe new spouses that have good and healthy relationships, and seeing those,
Oh, for sure.
than being around people that hate each other.
Yeah.
That just grind it out because they feel like that's what's supposed to happen. It's terrible.
My mom and my dad, they split up when I was super young. I was like 2, I don't remember them being together. But my stepdad and my mom, from the age of about 7 to 12-ish, maybe 11, 12, would fight so much, like all the time. Like, and my mom would use me to like passive aggressively send messages. And
that's the worst.
Yeah, my stepdad was like that old school fucking asshole mentality, like kids are to be seen, not heard. Like, he'd always tell me that, So I'm being forced to go literally into bars in the middle of the day to deliver passive aggressive messages when I was like 9 to my stepdad, who didn't want to hear anything, let alone from the kid. Obviously that's kind of an extreme, but still a possible realistic circumstance. Oh yeah. And my point is that you don't stay together for the kids. You don't stay together for anything. If it's a destructive, emotionally, physically, relationship, you just have to, figure out what to do and do it. And
that's something that even I, like, in our own generation, I had this old school mentality that, no, it's better for the kids, for mom and dad to be available 24/7, to be in the same household.
I felt like
and
that
all
for a
of
long time too.
Yeah, I fell into that trap. And then in retrospect, and having distance from the situation, the relationship and everything like that, I saw how toxic it was and the negative emotions that it brought on our kids possibly.
Oh, they pick that shit up. They pick those vibes up, man.
And to limit the exposure to things like that is a beneficial thing. And you can, and like nowadays, or not even nowadays, just in general, having healthy adult relationships separate from your spouse or from the mother or father of your children, you can still maintain a happy, healthy, loving family dynamic while living separately. Like, for example, I and my former spouse, with our children, we still try to do things together as a family when we can, not all the time, but we don't carry that animosity. We're able to parent together. We're able to go and do activities together. Our children get to see us be loving in a non-24/7 destructive way, and it's good for everybody. And both I and her can set aside our differences that just bring us together because of our kids, because we have a more healthy relationship now. And it's so much better. It's so much more healthy for everybody involved.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I went through the same thing, I was really angry for a long time, and
you went through your bitter thing to get me through my thing.
Yeah,
thank God.
Yeah, and that's a silver lining, honestly. Like, and I think now we're both at good places, and we have great relationships. The kids have, in the last 5 years or so, 4.5, 5 years, whatever, since we split up. They've never once seen us argue or be bitter towards each other.
Yeah,
I've never said a single bad word about their mother to them, or like nothing passive aggressive. And there's no reason to. We don't interact that much.
Exactly. Right.
We keep it.
And when you do it
focused
thoughtful,
on the kids' best interest.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's huge. And I agree. And so now they're seeing that dynamic and the way a healthy relationship can be, even though it's less frequent, you still see it. Yeah. Instead of seeing a tumultuous 24/7 relationship that's volatile and all of this and has hurtful things in it, they can grow and see what healthy relationships can be like, even on a fraction of the time. And that's so, it took me a long time to learn it, and I'm still evolving, but I see the benefits in it. And I've read the studies and everything behind it, and it even beyond all of that, it just makes sense and it feels right, and you can see it in your kids. Your kids aren't sitting there afraid or sad or mom and dad are fighting or what's going on, or you're screaming at each other and your kid's like trying to distract you so you don't do that anymore, and they don't have that negativity surrounding them. And it's I'm glad that we're somewhat moving beyond all of that, and I think that we're moving in a right direction, and family values and just the new family dynamic, and I don't know.
No, I agree. I think that's the whole point of like the modern family sort of is that society is changing, and we're all trying to learn and grow within the new boundaries that we're socially allowed to move within.
Yeah.
And we're all just doing the best we can, man.
Yeah. It's been great. I don't know.
Yeah. It's been a dream.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it again.
and again across multi-dimensions. And don't worry about it. String theory.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry about it.
No, we're not getting into that.
No, it's good. It's good. I think everything's moving in a correct direction, and while there's ebb and flows and there's pulls and pushes against everything, I think as a species we're all moving in the right direction, and I think most of it's all kind of at the crux of just trying to come from a loving perspective, which is the most important thing. Yep. I really think so. Agreed. Everybody, we're all going to make mistakes, but I think when it's coming from a loving place, it somehow balances itself out, and it self-corrects.
I make mistakes every day.
No, not you. Not you. Yeah. Me, I do.
Made mistakes.
That's nice of you to say, though.
So,
not on this podcast.
I don't beat myself up as much as I used to about them. That's, a good evolutionary step that I've taken, I think.
It's good.
Just let it go.
We're all going to do it. You learn and evolve.
And then one day the sun's going to explode and we're all going to be dead, so it doesn't matter what fucking...
There it is. That's how we end every episode of this podcast. The sun explodes, nothing matters.
No, it's true.
Go prep yourself.
Go prep yourself. Those
That's
solar
beautiful.
flares.
All right, I love it. Let's wrap this up, and right on that, solar flares. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We love you. Be good to each other, and that's all for us right now.
All right, peace.
All right, that's it. We are done with the week. Double digits, episode 10 in the can. Thank you for tuning in and listening and being here on this ride with us. I hope that you enjoy listening to our podcasts as much as we enjoy making these episodes for you. Keep coming back. We'll have plenty more great stuff lined up and on the way. If you're enjoying the episodes, again, go ahead and like and share this. And if you have anything you'd like us to follow up on, anything you want to contribute to the conversation, do that below in the comments section, and we will keep this conversation going. So, that's it for this week. We will be back next week with 2 more fresh episodes for you. As always, thank you for listening. We love the hell out of you, and please be great to each other. Love y'all.